The talking drum is an hourglass-shaped drum which originates from West Africa. The pitch of the drums can be regulated to mimic the tone, intonation, and stress of human speech. It has two drum heads connected by leather tension cords, which allow the player to modulate the pitch of the drum by squeezing the cords between their arms and body. These drums are able to transmit messages over great distances, greater than that of articulated speech. The history of the talking drums can be traced back to the Yoruba people, the Ghana Empire, and the Hausa people. Interestingly, talking drums were not limited to these areas. They have also been found in northern Cameroon and western Chad, areas which have shared population with groups bordering West African countries. Hourglass-shaped talking drums are some of the oldest instruments used by West African griots. Griots, also known as jellies, are West African historians, poets, and/or musicians. These individuals are tasked with orally recording, preserving, and sharing their community's histories and culture. Jellies use the drums as memory devices to help them remember important people and events. Drums are used to communicate messages across distances and villages. A king or other political authority may send a drummer throughout his land as a messenger. The drummer plays his drum, and because the villagers know the language of the drum, they understand if the king is issuing a warning or a celebratory invitation. Talking drums are also used during religious rituals. Often jellies and griots ran these ceremonies and used the drums not only for celebration, but also for sacred rites and stories. Talking drums were also used to bring people together and to help settle disputes among members of a village. How drums talk. Here we see a single small drum that is usually held under the arm. The Yoruba drum is constructed from a hollow wooden tube covered at both ends with special treated goat skin. There is a tapering from opposite sides of the drum surfaces, which makes it possible to position the strings properly. These strings hold the two leather surfaces in place. The function of the strings is to exert pressure, which help in the production of high and low pitches. The modulation of the chords helps to produce the necessary variation in the tones of the drum messages. A high degree of acoustic effect is achieved when drumming by adding tiny bells or jiggling discs made of metal around the circumference of the drum surface. These bells add an effect that could be heard by nearby villages. The hook-shaped drum gong is used to strike the drum. Some drums were larger, and these were mainly used for entertainment purposes. These drums were struck using hands. What does a talking drum message actually look like when played? Let's take a look. The number of times you use your drum beater on the drum head will depend on how many syllables you have in your sentence. This becomes your rhythmic backup when played repeatedly.
Here is an example of how to play a simple rhythmic backup. Now, let us make this our sentence. I love UK. I love UK. In this sentence, we have 4 syllables. Hi, 1. Love, 2. You, 3. K, 4. I love UK. This means you have to 4 beatings on the drum head, just like this.
Talking drums, communication and cultural needs. The use of talking drums as a form of communication was first noticed by Europeans in the first half of the 18th century. Detailed messages could be sent from one village to another faster than carrying said message by horseback. In the 19th century, a missionary named Roger T. Clark realized that the signals represent the tones of the syllables of conventional phrases of a traditional and highly poetic character. Like Mandarin and Cantonese, many African languages are tonal. That is, the pitch is important in determining the meaning of a particular word. Many of the African languages are intelligible when represented merely by their tones. In Gaines's article, The Talking Drum Moving Towards a Psychology of Literacy Transformation, he says, the drum language is the immediate and natural reproduction of speech. It is a script understood by all who are trained in said language, but is directed not by the eye, but by the ear. When the talking drum is used to send a message, the message is played repeatedly. This repetition serves many functions. First, it allows detection and correction of errors in the message. Even to the trained ear, the message may not be understood the first time. The second time, the receiver will get a general idea of the message. Some of the pitches may be contaminated or lost in surrounding noise. If the wind is blowing in the opposite direction of the message, this will cause parts of the message to be lost. Villages located in heavily forested areas may also have sections of the drum message lost due to foliage and/or vegetation. The sender thus plays the message several times so that the receiver can fill in the blanks in the message. Let us say we want to send a warning message to a set of 30 villages. This could be seen as broadcasting. The first few villages will have no problem receiving the message, but the farther villages may only get parts of the message or no message at all. Thus, the villages in between serve as transmitters to help pass the message to the farthest villages. In conclusion, talking drums have been and are a fundamental tool in the attainment and sustainment of literacy in many West African cultures. Talking drums are not merely an instrument used for entertainment, but serve as an important method of communication and literacy transformation.